The footage was grainy, shot on a handheld camera by someone who clearly wasn't supposed to be there. For decades, it remained buried, passed between collectors, dismissed by some as fabrication, protected by others who understood exactly what it contained. But in 2019, a portion of that footage surfaced, and what it showed was enough to reignite a debate that had smoldered since 1964. The man on the screen moved unlike anyone the martial arts world had seen before. His strikes didn't follow the patterns taught in traditional schools. His footwork borrowed from fencing. His rhythm shifted like water, formless, unpredictable, devastating. He was 23 years old, virtually unknown outside a small circle in Seattle, and he was dismantling a man who had trained his entire life in one of China's most respected fighting systems. But this story doesn't begin in that room. It begins weeks earlier, with an envelope slipped under a door, a challenge written in Chinese characters, and a single sentence that would define the trajectory of Bruce Lee. Leave now, or prove you deserve to stay. To understand what led to that moment and what followed, we have to go back to the summer of 1964, to a small school on the second floor of a building in Oakland, California. The sign outside read, Jun Fan Gung Fu Institute. Inside, something was happening that the traditional martial arts establishment considered unforgivable. Bruce Lee was teaching Chinese martial arts to non-Chinese students. To Western observers today, this might seem trivial, but in the insular world of 1960s martial arts, where knowledge was guarded like treasure, where lineage meant everything, and where tradition was law, Bruce Lee had committed an act of open defiance. The elders of San Francisco's Chinatown had warned him. They had sent messengers. They had made their position unmistakably clear. He ignored them. James Lee, no relation to Bruce, but one of his closest allies, had helped establish the Oakland School. A welder by trade and a martial arts by obsession, James was 15 years older than Bruce and had spent decades navigating the politics of the Chinese martial arts community. He knew the risks. He also knew that what Bruce was developing was something genuinely new, something that couldn't be contained by old rules. "They're not going to let this go," James told him one evening after class. "You know that." Bruce was stretching near the wooden dummy, his movements slow and deliberate. "Then they'll have to do something about it." "That's exactly what I'm afraid of." The response came 3 weeks later. The man who delivered the challenge was not the one who would fight. He arrived at the Oakland School on a Tuesday afternoon, dressed formally, his demeanor calm but deliberate. He carried a single sheet of paper, folded once, and asked to speak with Bruce Lee directly. James Lee intercepted him at the door. He recognized the type immediately, an emissary, someone dispatched to deliver a message while maintaining the appearance of civility. The martial arts community operated through these rituals. Challenges were rarely shouted. They were delivered quietly, formally, with just enough politeness to mask the threat underneath. "I represent the martial arts schools of San Francisco's Chinese community," the man said. "We wish to discuss a matter of serious concern with Mr. Lee." Bruce emerged from the back room, wiping his hands on a towel. His forearms glistened with sweat. He said nothing, only nodded for the man to continue. The emissary extended the folded paper. "This is a formal request. You are to stop teaching non-Chinese students immediately. If you refuse, a representative will be sent to resolve the matter in the traditional way." Bruce took the paper, unfolded it once, and set it down on the nearest table. "And if I win?" The emissary hesitated. This was not the response he had expected. Most teachers, when faced with the collective pressure of the Chinatown establishment, found ways to compromise. They adjusted their enrollment policies, limited their public visibility, made quiet concessions to preserve their standing. No one openly welcomed a challenge. "If you win," the emissary said slowly, "you may continue as you wish. No one will interfere again. And if I lose, you will close your school, you will leave the area, and you will not teach publicly again." Bruce folded his arms. His expression hadn't changed throughout the exchange. "When?" "2 weeks. A location will be provided. The match will be private. No authorities, no outside observers. I'll be there." The emissary lingered a moment longer, perhaps expecting some sign of hesitation, some flicker of doubt. When none came, he turned and left without another word. James waited until the door closed before speaking. "You know who they're going to send." "I have an idea. Wong Jack Man. He's not some street fighter, Bruce. He's trained since childhood. Classical forms, real lineage. The community respects him." Bruce picked up the challenge letter again, studied it briefly, then let it fall back onto the table. "Good. Then it means something when I beat him." In the days that followed, the air inside the Junfan Gung Fu Institute seemed to thicken with anticipation. Word had spread quietly through the Chinatown networks that something decisive was about to occur. Students arrived for class, pretending not to know, but their questions betrayed them. Is it true? Will there be a match? What happens if you lose? Bruce answered none of it directly. He corrected stances, adjusted elbows, demanded sharper focus. But when the doors closed and the last student left, the real preparation began. He ran miles before sunrise, his breath forming clouds in the cool Oakland air. He struck the heavy bag until his knuckles bled through the tape. He studied film reels of Western boxers, pausing the projector to analyze angles of entry and exit. He paced the wooden floor, visualizing not just victory, but every possible failure. He imagined slipping on sweat, misjudging distance, absorbing a strike he didn't see coming. In his mind, he fought the match 100 times. In most of those imagined scenarios, he lost. Not because he doubted his skill, but because he understood something few fighters admitted. Reality rarely unfolds according to plan. James watched this intensity with unease. "You're turning this into something bigger than it is," he warned. "It's one man, one fight." Bruce shook his head. "It's never one fight. It's a statement. If I lose, they'll say Westerners can't understand our arts. They'll say mixing methods is weakness. They'll say I was arrogant. And if you win, they'll say I disrespected tradition." The location arrived 2 days before the appointed time, a discreet school in Oakland's Chinatown, neutral ground, at least in theory. The list of witnesses was carefully controlled. No reporters, no outsiders. This would be resolved internally, the old way. On the day of the match, the gym smelled of wood polish and incense. Folding chairs lined the walls. The atmosphere was ceremonial, almost judicial. When Wong entered, the room shifted subtly. He carried himself with quiet confidence, the product of disciplined lineage. Years of northern Shaolin training had etched precision into his posture. He bowed respectfully to the elders before acknowledging Bruce with a measured nod. The rules were recited. No eye gouging, no groin strikes. Continue until submission or incapacitation. Bruce removed his jacket slowly. He wore simple black trousers and flat-soled shoes. No ornamentation, no symbol of lineage. Just a man. When the elder finished speaking, the two fighters faced each other. Wong adopted a classical stance, weight evenly distributed, hands poised. Bruce did not. He stood loosely, shoulders relaxed, eyes intent. The first exchange erupted without warning. Wong advanced with a sharp lead punch, crisp and traditional. Bruce intercepted it mid-flight, redirecting with minimal movement,
and countered with a straight punch that forced Wang to retreat. Gasps rippled through the room. The speed was startling. They circled. Wang launched a flurry, kicks and palms flowing in textbook combinations. Bruce's response was economical. He didn't block dramatically. He slipped just enough, parried just enough. Each counter landed with unsettling clarity. A low kick that compromised balance, a back fist that snapped the head sideways, a body shot that emptied lungs. Minutes blurred. Sweat darkened the floor beneath them. Wang's breathing grew ragged. Bruce's movements, though still sharp, carried a hint of strain. The fight was not effortless. It was messy, urgent, real. Then came the turning point. Wang attempted to disengage, to circle away and reset. Bruce pressed forward with relentless directness, chaining punches in rapid succession. Wang stumbled. The rhythm broke. A final driving strike sent him sprawling to the ground. Silence followed. The elder stepped forward. "It is finished." Bruce did not celebrate. He stepped back, chest rising, eyes distant. Linda rushed to his side, relief flooding her expression. James clapped him once on the shoulder. "You did it." Bruce shook his head. It took too long. The drive back was quiet. Victory felt incomplete. In his mind, the fight replayed differently. He remembered the burn in his lungs, the slight lag in his second combination, the half-second hesitation before committing fully. If this had been a street encounter, if weapons had been involved, hesitation could mean death. That night, he wrote furiously in his notebook. Classical rigidity fails under pressure. Efficiency above all. End conflict quickly. Adapt constantly. The challenge had exposed more than political tension. It had revealed personal limitation, and Bruce Lee did not tolerate limitation. Training intensified. He discarded ornate movements, streamlined footwork, blended boxing head movement with kung fu trapping. He reduced stance width, shortened strike trajectories, prioritized interception over reaction. Conditioning became paramount. Road work at dawn, isometric holds, explosive plyometrics. He tested ideas in sparring, refined them, abandoned them if they faltered. Students noticed the shift. Techniques they had learned weeks earlier were suddenly replaced. "You told us this was essential," one protested. "It was essential then," Bruce replied. "It isn't now." From that crucible emerged a philosophy that would later be named Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. Not a style, but an anti-style. Freedom from pattern, loyalty to function over form. Years later, when fame enveloped him and Hollywood cameras finally captured his presence, the roots of that evolution remained in Oakland, in a room where he had been called worthless, in 3 minutes that felt too long, in the refusal to accept victory as completion. The footage that surfaced decades later showed only fragments, blurred exchanges, shadows crossing wood grain. It could not capture the interior transformation. It could not reveal the silent vow written in ink that night. Bruce Lee would go on to redefine cinematic combat, to inspire generations of fighters and thinkers, to speak words that transcended martial arts. Be water, my friend, formless, adaptable, unstoppable. But before the legend, there was a room in Oakland. Before the icon, there was a young man confronting his own imperfection. Before the philosophy, there was a challenge slipped under a door.